Willie D Live.
What's up, family? If you didn't think so before, now there's absolutely no doubt that Carmelo Anthony was railroaded. Yeah, fam, and it's enough blame to go around. Yeah, they did him dirty, man. Cold-blooded. So check this out, family. We got the affidavit of Carmelo Anthony's defense attorney, Mike Howard. First of all, family, I think Mike Howard is a horrible lawyer. He knew exactly what was going on and he played dumb. He got Carmelo's money, that money that was raised, that his mom and dad raised for Carmelo's defense. He took the money and ran, and he gave some of it to this guy. That guy to the left, that's Toby Shook. Toby Shook is the guy who was Carmelo's second lawyer. So the first guy is this. What's right? This is Mike Howard. Family, you know, I wouldn't ruin my reputation like that. I would not put myself out there like that, especially knowing this is a high-profile case and this thing ain't just gonna magically go away just because y'all railroaded somebody. I mean, you got the judge, you got the prosecution, you got even the defense. And it appears that all of them are on the same team. That's right. They're all interconnected. They know each other, fam. Yeah, these two right here, Toby Shook and the guy to the right, y'all know who that is? That's Bill Wirskye. He is the prosecutor. Yeah, that's your prosecutor. Guess what? These two are tight. They used to own a law firm together. Friends for 30 years. Yeah. So they do the little dog and pony show in front of the cameras or whatever. Actually, they didn't allow the cameras in the courtroom. And we know why. Yeah, fam. So according to the affidavit, here we are. The key points include off-the-record agreement with prosecutors. Howard states, this is Mike Howard, Carmelo Anthony's supposed to be lawyer, paid lawyer, states there was an understanding between the defense and prosecution that both sides would limit the trial to what occurred during the confrontation at the track meet and would avoid introducing prior character or extraneous conduct evidence about either Carmelo Anthony or Austin Metcalf. According to the defense, that agreement affected how it prepared and presented its case. Now, why would you agree to something like that in the first place? Knowing that you're dealing with bullies, knowing that if you can argue a pattern, if you can lay out a pattern for these guys' behavior, it could create some serious doubt. But at the same time, although it would have created the doubt, it wouldn't have made any difference because I do believe that the jury was also stacked. It didn't matter what was said. It didn't matter how it played out. They had it on their mind. They was going to railroad that boy, no matter what. Another key point included the decision not to call Carmelo Anthony to testimony. Howard explains that the defense advised Anthony not to testify after the court indicated his testimony would likely open the door to the prosecution introducing additional character or extraneous offense evidence. The affidavit argues this specifically affected the defense strategy. Now, why would the prosecution introduce additional character or extraneous offense evidence? Why would they do that if they got an agreement? They had an off-the-record agreement. Why would they do that? Anyway, another key point, the impact on the self-defense case. Howard contends the defense relied on the understanding that the trial would focus on the events under the tent. The affidavit says that when the prosecution later sought to introduce additional evidence, it undermined the strategy the defense had built around a self-defense claim. So basically what he's saying there is that they stabbed him in the back. The prosecution stabbed him in the back. They had an agreement, and the prosecution ambushed him once the trial started and introduced evidence that they had agreed that would not be introduced. The fourth primary point includes the reason for supporting a new trial. Howard states in his opinion as trial counsel that these circumstances prejudiced Anthony's defense and contributed to the request for a new trial. The affidavit is intended to corroborate the factual assertions made in the defense's motion. So the biggest thing, fam, is these boys' character, because it was their character that led to them being one twin short. It was their character that set this series of events in motion. If not for their character, we don't even know who they are. We don't know anything about who Austin Metcalf is or Hunter Metcalf is, and we don't know who Carmelo Anthony is. If I go back and I look at the twins, I can see them being police officers and their names probably eventually being mentioned after killing some innocent black person. I can see that. They were bullies. Ain't no way around that. So they agreed not to bring up character, and they pretty much reneged on that. What they did is they let they turned Jeff Metcalf loose on the Carmelo family. They turned some provocateurs like Jake Lang loose on the Carmelo family. See, they ain't slick. I heard a lot of people were getting paid under the table on this case. The affidavit set it up so no pertinent info could be included, you see? Yeah. So everything racist, the graffiti that Austin had written, racist graffiti, they were bullies. It mentions Austin, Hunter, and Carmelo. We're talking about the affidavit. It mentions Austin, Hunter, and Carmelo Anthony, which suggests that Hunter was also suspected to be involved in some way. He was not just an innocent bystander sitting on a bench, while his twin brother is in a 4-minute confrontation. They failed to call students to testify that the twins were bullies. They had students allegedly ready to testify that the twins were bullies. They did not call those students. They had Memorial High School teachers who knew about disciplinary actions against the boys that included them almost being kicked off the football team, but they were suspended instead, giving them breaks, rewarding bad behavior. Judge Roach didn't let nothing come through. Judge Roach, he didn't let nothing come through, man. He stopped everything. So even if you had a decent, reasonable, honorable jury, based on the instructions the judge gave them and based on the way that the judge conducted the trial, knocking down every motion that could have helped Carmelo. Based on that, there was no way he could win. And he got incompetent lawyers or lawyers who are faking like they're incompetent. So either they're incompetent or they straight up sold him out. Believe which one you want. Take a pick. Don't forget, family, the judge is the district attorney's friend. The judge and the district attorney are friends. Let me tell you something, fam. One thing I know for a fact. If I got a friend and my friend can do a favor for me, my friend is going to do a favor for me. It don't matter if that favor is barbecuing for my birthday, picking me up and taking me to a doctor's appointment, getting me a mug from Spain, or giving me an advantage, giving me an edge in the courtroom. My friend, everybody I consider a real, true blue friend, gonna look out for me. They gonna show me some love. So that right there is a conflict of interest. You cannot escape your implicit biases when you're in that courtroom. Every one of us are hardwired with implicit biases. Every one of us. And you do not leave your implicit biases. Judges, prosecutors do not leave, and jurors, they do not leave their implicit biases at the steps of the courthouse when they go in there to try to judge someone or prosecute someone. You understand what I'm saying, fam? It was rigged from the jump. If you're going to tell the other side that they can't even talk about this dude's character, which is what got him killed, which is what caused Carmelo Anthony pull out the knife in the first place. You can't even talk about that. Hell, that's where the argument starts right there. That's where you start your fight. If you can't cover that, you can't talk about that, you can't talk about nothing. Hey, you might as well just go ahead on and close up your briefcase and walk out the door. You got a good old boy system here, fam. That's all it is. It's a good old boy system. It's one big club. And Carmelo parents were not in it. So they got done to them what literally millions of Black people has gotten done to them over the years in this country. And at least thousands of Black people in Collin County. At least. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.